everyone. Welcome to Fiber Trek. My name is Sarah. Welcome. You are most welcome to my studio space here in the North Woods of Maine. I am looking forward to sharing with you a bunch of different types of adventures, whether that was headed into the cabin by snowmobile or a new quilt project I am embarking on. If you are a patron of this podcast, a deep, heartfelt thank you for your financial support. It is deeply humbling and encouraging. I am so thankful that you are all here. Let's catch up.
Hey, darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey, darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand.
This is the second time that Rob and I have gone together in the winter to visit our friend's remote cabin. We were joined by Bob and Teresa, who came with us last year, and it really made the whole trip smooth and relaxing, as both Bob and Rob are really comfortable in this type of environment and with this type of skill set. Teresa and I were on snack selection duty as well as cooking, and you couldn't have asked for better food. We really sunk into this space and took advantage of the quiet and the isolation that this landscape has to offer. We were blessed with some amazing weather, and this allowed us to get out on the ice and view this whole place from such a different vantage point than in the summer. What was I saying about isolation? We were lucky to have a couple of our friends fly in. Rob is working on getting his pilot's license, and we've really cultivated a wonderful set of friendships through this endeavor. And they were willing to come on out and visit us. There was hot coffee and cookies, but it wasn't long before we said farewell. Knitting with wool really lends itself to this type of adventuring. Doesn't really matter if it gets smushed or wet or even dirty. It cleans up easily, it recovers well from its memory, and it can withstand quite a bit of rugged treatment and weather. I am looking forward to getting back this spring and taking you along with me. I hope you enjoyed coming along on this trip and getting a little glimpse of the North Woods in winter.
Hey, darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey, darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things.
You may remember 2 years ago, if you've been with me, that I became very enamored with this quilt, StarsUponStars by Edyta Sitar of Laundry Basket Quilts. My enthusiasm was definitely there, but my skill sets were definitely lacking. I enjoy following Edyta's YouTube channel, and she recently announced she was doing a quilt-along for StarsUponStars and would have video tutorials, and also she created some templates to use for cutting out units, which I'm hoping will support my accuracy in this endeavor. If you are a patron, you got to kind of see me get my materials ready, my fabric, looking at different colors and how I wanted to move forward with that. And here are some of the results from my initial attempts. This initial unit I'm working on requires you to make 5 sets of these strip sets and then cut shapes from them. And so here is my initial 2. I'm quite pleased. I am taking my time. I've only made 3 of the 5. This is going to be the key to this project. Wish me luck. my last episode, I detailed preparing this Clava quilt for hand quilting, and I highlighted that I would be using Aurifil 12 weight and a Dritz water-soluble marker. And I just wanted to bring you up to date on the progress of that. I've been pretty mindful of when I lay the ink down to pretty much try to get that quilted within a week's time. I'm very concerned about leaving a mark. There were some comments made of leaving it in the sun and perhaps that becoming difficult to get out. So once I mark the quilt, I have not only been quilting it, but once I'm finished with that portion, I have been taking off the watermark with cold water, just soaking it and letting it dry. I've also been working with a couple different methods for quilting, and you can see I'm using a hoop here. I had been laying it over my legs on the couch and I had quilted it on a table, but right now I've landed on using the hoop and I'm really enjoying this project. There's a pace to it that you can navigate by just targeting each of the moon phases, and that is really helpful in forward planning and not becoming overwhelmed. I'm unsure what my next stitch will be in the next moon phase, but I am liking the whole waxing and waning aspect and message that this project is bringing to my life. Hello and welcome to the fiber portion and knitting portion of this episode. I am so thankful that you are all here, returning, new, taking a chance on this vlog. Thank you so much. A deep heartfelt thank you to those that contribute financially through Patreon. If you are interested in that endeavor, I upload extra bonus content every month over there, which highlights some of these projects, but also other projects that I've been doing throughout the month. As I said, I think I am deeply humbled and encouraged by that financial support, and I am looking forward to bringing you a lot of different content this particular year. I have a few things brewing up my sleeve. So let's get started. Some of this is going to be old news. Actually, probably quite a bit of it's going to be old news for those that are returning. You know, I've been doing this vlog for 10 years. I think I talked a little bit about that a while ago. I don't really mark any of my anniversaries. I just kind of continue forward. And I've just been thinking a lot about this project, why I do it, and you know, the documentation component. And we talk a lot about creativity and that act of creation of making something. We're makers, and I know that that's a really important component of creating, being a creative spirit. We all are. That's a huge piece of the human existence, and that nature of expression and interpretation and creating, making things with our hands and solving problems with and being imaginative. But one thing that's kind of come up and I've started to really notice in my own creative pursuits is the concept of connecting and curiosity. That the making is really just a deeper way to be reflective about the world I live in, but it's also a way for me to connect with space and time and journey to different areas and think about different people. So it's not always so much about the product and the process as it is about connecting to other elements in the world that, you know, I don't have tangible access to. So that might be some, you know, a place, Shetland or Antarctica, or different stories and different people. My grandmother, my, you know, interest in lore and mythology. So I feel like that is the elevated part for me. My medium connects me to something bigger than myself, and it's not so much what I produce with it that I, you know, have been focusing on of late. What's really rewarding is connecting to past and being a little bit more grounded in my understanding of the world around me and thinking about and being curious about different processes. But anyway, that's just surfaced, and I wanted to bring it up. And maybe I sound a bit elementary, or is it a bit trivial? I don't have a lot of, study around creative pursuits and being an artist, etc. So I might be a bit redundant and obvious in that. Ooh, the sun is going to shift here. I may be a bit redundant and obvious in that reflection, but I just wanted to throw it out there because I think my projects are indicative of where I'm at in that conversation in my head. So speaking of which, that brings to mind what I've been working on, which is Zora. One of you commented, I think it was nostalgic revelry was the word I was looking for in my last edition, where I was talking about how this project was making me feel. And nostalgia is probably a really great word to describe where I'm at in some of my making. And I knit this sweater, one of my first sweaters I ever knit, in Reynolds Lopi. I am knitting this in Alafoss in like a natural beige heather. I went up a needle size to US 10.5 because I am a tight knitter and my last version was a little bit snug. So I'm just playing around with needle gauge. It is limited in its sizing, but that is not super intimidating to me because I feel like this particular stitch and the construction allows you to play around with numbers and needle size, especially as it's a bulky. I knew I wanted to go up because it's really hard on my hands. So the yoke for this is going to be kind of a low volume look. I bought some ecru and other light heathered kind of browns and a little pop of glacial blue. I discussed that in my last edition. So I was invited to my nephew's chorus concert and I thought this will be great. It was a Wednesday night. I was like in my pajamas and we got the call that we're supposed to be there, and we hadn't been given the invite, etc. So we all piled into the car and we drove to the junior high, which is where the concert was being happening. And I thought this will be easy, elementary school chorus concert, 45 minutes. We were there for 2 hours. It was a 3rd grade through 12th grade concert. I was like, and of course, my nephew performed at the beginning and I thought, we're all done, we can leave. But no, he and the whole chorus was performing at the very end of the concert, and that was another hour and a half. So I did bring Zora with me, super easy, stitch is memorized. This is a slip stitch pattern, which kind of gives it that woven look. And yeah, I just plowed away on that. This has been getting a lot of attention because it's so easy to pick up. And some of you who are returning will know that I travel quite a bit for work. And so this tends to be my project of choice in the evenings and for travel because it's so memorizable. Cardigan, did I say that? Cardigan, yoke style, construction, and super nostalgic. Loving the Icelandic yarn, loving the deep dive back into my original start as a knitter and connecting with that, connecting with Icelandic sheep and all of the properties that their wool highlights. Just feeling really enriched by this project on a daily basis. Now, I also have a niece, and I did not take this project with me to the concert. Those of you may remember, I knit my nephew a Plotolopi Icelandic yoke, and Madison wanted a version of the Nicole shawl by Aimee Sher, and I'm knitting this in Manchelopi in a pale gray blue colorway and this deep magenta pink. I am on the last repeat of the lace. There is a 2 lace sections and 3 striped garter stitch sections, and so I just need to finish this lace and do the garter stripe, and then this will be finished for her and off it will go. Cross your fingers that she's still in love with these colors. She's stuck pretty well to magenta and teal, although she did have a foray into some other jewel colors. She can be a very opinionated person, so cross your fingers. I do think she'll hopefully treasure this forever. So that's on the go. And then the last project I've been working on is my Frokengarde. This is from Kofteboken 2 and 3. There's a child version in 3 and there's an adult version in 2. I am knitting this out of Hillesvag Vilje is the white, and that's a lamb's wool, and the Norse pelt sheep, which is in the cognac colorway, which is that orange rust, and I am working on the sleeve. I'm starting to need to make some decisions about decreasing for the sleeve and how I want to approach that. And yeah, super excited to kind of see that type of progress and know that, you know, I only have to do it one more time. So this has been traveling with me as well because, again, the color work pattern is pretty easy to memorize. My friend Sue interpreted this from the Norwegian, from the book. It is not available in English, which was fairly, I'm not going to use the word easy, but I'm going to use the word reasonable to organize and plug in numbers. I completely re-engineered this. I knit this top down. I kind of made up some of my own numbers for things that I want that fit the chart. So getting comfortable with that type of construction top down and understanding charts has been a real boon to my sweater knitting over the past 25 years. So before I used to be like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. It's only this, you know, but now I'm a little bit more liberal and risky with, oh, well, I'll just try that. I'll just, yeah, that should work, or fudging it to make it work. So, you know, oh, there's extra 5 stitches. I'll just decrease and see what happens. So that's what this sweater has really capitalized on, because it's been minimally instructed, and it's kind of this and my Marie Wallen Lovage and Bressa, which I re-engineered all top down, have all really taught me to kind of roll the dice a little bit, and they've all turned out wearable. So that's going. Now the other thing that I've been working on is hand spinning. In my bonus vlog for patrons in February, I talked about finishing up some Romney from Bybrook Farm, and I decided to leave it as a singles because I wanted more yardage and it was working out to be a 4-ply fingering weight. So this is a very tiny swatch, but I just wanted to see how it would respond to some lace kind of shawl knitting, and I'm quite happy with how it is performing. So again, this is just a singles hand spun in a beautiful gray. This is what I have balled up, and I need to complete this. I need to get the rest off of bobbins, and I dried it under a little bit of tension because it is a singles, and so, you know, when it came out of the water, and I thwacked it and I hung it and I put a little bit of weight just to kind of set the twist. So that has been a project I've been working on and kind of thinking about getting my wheel cleaned off. I spun this on my Shacked Sidekick. And then I have been working with this Three Waters Farm Blue Face Leicester top, which is her olive green tonal. I purchased this at my first Maryland Sheep and Wool, and this has come up for me. This is where I met my friends Sarah of Yarns at Yinhu and Emily of Fibertown. Both have had podcasts and do have podcasts and podcast. They were some of my original mentors in understanding of not only going to a festival, but also of getting into the vlog world. And so I reached for this because I wanted to kind of think about that time and space and that friendship. And here it is spun up. Those of you who have been following me a long time know that if this isn't gray and it's not charcoal and it's not, you know, natural colored. But yeah, this is some of the first top that I purchased. I'm enjoying spinning it. It basically spins itself, and as it is a top, all of the fibers are aligned. Blue Face Leicester is on the longer side of the staple length, so my draft zone is very wide apart. It's very relaxing. It's like butter going right onto the spindle. So I plan to ply this. I'm not sure what I will do with it. Perhaps use it in the top of a yoke, or use it to knit part of a shawl, or admire it. So, but it's coming along, and I'm trying to spin for about 45 minutes when I'm home every day and just get this done so that I can focus on more of the fleece stash that is upstairs. So that's kind of where I've gone with the fiber and the textiles as far as wool goes. I know we talked a little bit about quilting previous to. And as part of that, and talking about the sweater and fooling around with numbers and feeling a little bit more confident and comfortable taking a sweater design and extrapolating out something that's more interesting to me or suitable for me, or uses the chart in a different way, I purchased Ann Budd's top-down sweaters. So I have her handy book of sweater patterns, but I knit a lot of top-down and I reverse engineer a lot of sweaters to do that. And I really wanted to experiment with some other sleeve options. And part of that was there is a sweater from Alice Starmore in her book Glamoury, and the name escapes me right now, which is a pieced sweater. And I would love to knit this. And I am hesitant, not because I don't understand piecing, but because I'm not precise enough when it is a set in sleeve to get the look that I want. The first sweater I ever knit was a Rowan sweater piece, set in sleeve, had patterning on it, textured patterning. I never achieved a beautiful set in sleeve. I bought books, I took classes, I watched Knitting Daily. Remember Knitting Daily with Uni Jang? And I had Deb Newton's finishing book. I could never spatially do it. And I really want this sweater to be sharp and be reflective of its original character. So I bought this book so that I could have a little bit more of a reference for picking up and knitting inset sleeves. I've done that once before in a cardigan that I made, and it came out beautifully. So that was part of the impetus for purchasing this book, to have a little bit more reference material for when I want to go off the cuff or riff on something that I've seen. Another book that I purchased is The Knitted Kalevala by Lina Publishing. This is 18 knitting patterns inspired by the Kalevala, which is a national epic in Finland, and it contains old poems, the Kalevala does, full of Baltic Finnic mythology, ancient symbols, mythical creatures, and nature. This was very appealing to me. I've been eyeing this for a while, and I had seen other vlogs talking about this book. There was a pattern that was a standalone pattern on Ravelry for a while that I had had in my favorites, and it is now part of this book, and so in order to knit it, you need to purchase the book, and I was interested in that. And it is this particular pattern. And you can see this, some of the construction in these patterns did not appeal to me, and that was another reason that this top-down book I thought would come in very handy. I would probably re-engineer this to be knitted top-down, and I might do use this as a practice for that Glamoury pattern I want to knit, to do a knitted set-in sleeve, because all of the color work is happening down at the bottom. It doesn't really, the charts at the top are not going to be, you're not going to need to fill around with numbers. It can really be suited to my particular size. So that was one of the driving forces behind this purchase. There's a lot of beautiful charts in here also to fool around with. And another pattern that I was interested in, there are a mix of socks and mittens and sweaters, is this particular one, which I believe is a raglan knitted top down. This is knit in a DK. The other is in a fingering. I really love this particular sweater, and so that was another piece that attracted me. So that's nice, 2 sweaters. And then the other one, which is again primarily the color work is happening at the bottom of the sweater, which means the top can really be a canvas for other, for playing around with fit, is this particular pattern. So all three of those are on my radar to play around with and, you know, get on the needles and use them as springboards to practice some of this top-down sweater knitting in a more technique-driven way and not so much in a think I can do that kind of way. So that is the Knitted Kalevala by Jenna Kostet, and this is from Lina Publishing. Right. I also picked up, because I didn't have it in my library and it felt like I should have it, I have all of Elizabeth Zimmerman's other books, but I did not have Knitting Without Tears, so this one I just wanted to add to the collection. I enjoy reading her writing. She is very charismatic, and I do find a lot of her knitting tips helpful, directions, basic techniques, all of those. Again, the ability to kind of go off the cuff and work with particular designs that the way you want to do it. So Elizabeth Zimmerman's finally been completed in my library. I picked up finally the Scandinavian Motifs 150 by Mary Jane Mucklestone. I've been eyeing this for a while. I didn't have it in my collection, and I wanted to be able to have some basic chart dictionaries for this particular type of design work, which would allow you to take a sweater template like this and, you know, do it again, but with a different design. So a lot of this is just to be more experimental and also to be able to work with particular patterns and be a little bit more confident, as I said before, in making changes. So that's kind of what is on the go here, and I am in the process of trying to do a little bit more on my quilt before I leave to head south, and also doing some experimenting with leather and fabric. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, thank you again for joining me. I so appreciate it. I am always, like I said, motivated and excited to sit down and think about how I want to frame each of the episodes. I'm going to bid you a fond farewell. Many fond wishes and blessings. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye.